Okay, can you hear me? Hi everyone. My name is Sara Dbeisy, and thank you for joining us in this session. We will explain to you how digital transformation plays a role in laying the foundations for digital accessibility. First of all, BNB and Laserfish are sponsoring this event, and we are very honored when we were invited because we are already working with AUB on the digital transformation process, and we are honored to take part of their ABLE initiative. So today we will talk about our own take on the digital transformation process, because I am sure you hear this word a lot lately. To be honest with you, everyone takes it from a different perspective. Everyone explains it in a certain way. We will show you the digital transformation process when it comes to documents, content, your internal processes, and how to make them accessible, how to create an inclusive environment in your organization, whether it's higher education or any other type of industry you work in. Okay, so basically in today's session, we will start first of all to tell you who we are, and then we will discuss our take on the digital transformation. And then we will introduce our solution, which we have implemented years ago with our clients as part of the digital transformation process. And then we'll let you know if you are interested in this and you don't know where to start, or you don't know where you stand currently in this process. We'll let you know how to tell. And finally, we will show you a brief demo on how you can make your documents and your processes accessible. So first of all, BNB is an information and communication technology company established in 1995. We serve more than 3,000 industry-leading customers. We employ more than 200 experts and engineers in different areas of ICT. And we work with more than 60 technology partners who are basically software and hardware providers or vendors. We operate in Lebanon. We are based here in Lebanon, and we have more than 10 offices in the region in countries like KSA, Jordan, Iraq, Egypt, and recently Algeria. We have a wide spectrum of partners. Of course, we work with Laserfish, Cisco, Tableau, EMC. I'm going to name a few: WebSense, Palo Alto, and many others. Now the important stuff, the digital transformation process. So first of all, what's digital transformation? Basically, it is a journey that allows you to convert your organization from a paper-based environment to a completely paperless environment. And the benefit from this is that when you make your content and your documents available in a web format or in a digital format, they become easily accessible. To provide persons or individuals who have special needs, to provide them with access to that information in an easy way. So basically, for us, it's actually a process of 5 steps. So you start by digitizing documents, organizing them, and then automating your processes, streamlining them, and finally transforming your organization. Let's dig deep into every single one of them. So the digitize phase. The first phase to start your digital transformation process is to basically digitize your documents, which means to scan them. So basically, paper is everywhere. Even if we live in a digital age, you still find paper everywhere. Think of the libraries. If you go and search for a certain article, a book, something, part of the old archives, for example, you still find a lot of images. So even if they're scanned, it's an image, it's not a text. So it's not readable. You cannot, for example, apply your screen reader on it. You cannot maybe use any sign language interpreter to do it directly. So this is the problem basically with paper. We'll discuss it even further. So for example, in higher education, you see paper everywhere in different departments, the student files, the faculty, staff documents, the library content, as we said, and everywhere. So people who access it, if they have special needs, they have to deal with paper, which is not an option. So the problem with paper, it's first difficult to get access to. Because imagine you have a physical archive like this one, and you need to access a certain document. You need to be physically present there to actually physically access the document. And again, there is no accessibility if you have individuals with special needs, and there's also lack of readability on paper. So the first step is basically this. You have papers, piles of papers, you scan them, and you end up with a digital scanned image. Now, the first benefit here is that it's now available in a digital copy, so people can access it from anywhere. They don't have to be present physically on campus, in your offices, to be able to see it. But this is not enough, because as we said, if you have a scanned image, you cannot read the text. This is where we apply OCR, optical character recognition, to be able to extract the text from that scanned image and convert it into text format. So this way, if you're using a screen reader or any other assistive technology, it's able to read it easily for you, and you can also apply like the contrast, increase the font as much as you need, and all of these tools can be integrated with your digital documents. This is an example of a scanned image. This is how you see it, how it's seen by default. What we do basically, when it comes, we have to clarify something. When it comes to the assistive technologies, we do not develop them. What we do is that we integrate with them. So basically, this is our main interface. What we do is we add plugins on the interface that would allow to run the screen reader, to create a contrast, for example. So and this is one option, for example. Oops, sorry. Let's go back. Okay, you can increase the font and all these options. We will see them later on in a short demo. Now you have all your documents available in a digital repository, and you can give access to them. And however, this is not enough, because especially when you have huge volumes of documents, if they're not well organized and structured, they're still difficult to find, even if they're available online. So in the second phase of the digital transformation, which we call organize, what we mean by organize is to actually classify your documents and identify them. So they have different types, they have different criteria. All of this will help with the search and retrieval of those documents. We'll see how. So again, we have a digital scanned image. In this case, let's say I have a student file. So basically, the most important thing about a student we have is the ID. It's a unique identifier that helps me know which student it is. So what we do is actually associate every document or folder with a set of information, or what we call index fields, or also referred to as metadata, so that it's much easier for you to find the documents, and again, they are very well structured. Now, in this case, you see text fields, you see numbers and ID, but it could be anything. It could be a date field. It could be also a predefined list. And we actually use lists a lot, because users who are inputting that information or filling out those fields, we try to make it easier for them. So for example, if they're scanning a student file and they want to input the faculty of that student, their department, their major, all of these three are very well known. You know what they are in every university. So we create them as predefined lists, so the user only has to select instead of type or input that information. And even more than that, we try to make it even much easier than this. In cases like the student file, as we said, the student IT is something unique. So sometimes it's enough for the user to only input the ID, and then the system itself can, in the background, of course, the user will not notice, the system will go and look for the additional information about the student file from your student information system, from any other data source that you have. Because the file is there, and in parallel, you have a student information system with all the information about them. So for us, it's enough for the user to only input the ID, and the system itself will go to that external source or your student information system and get everything in addition to identify the document and index it. Okay, now that we have indexed our documents and classified them, this is going to help in the search. And everything that we've talked about, the indexing part, the searching part, is all can be done in a web interface. And again, when you have a web interface, you can integrate it with any assistive technology. And in this case, for example, for the search part, I can search for a document or a folder using any piece of information that I know about it. For example, I can use the student ID, and it will take me directly to all the documents and the files that I have for that ID. Now, of course, I could add other search criteria at the same time. I can search by type. Let's say I need to search for the petitions submitted by the student. I can search between a range of 2 dates. I can do all sorts of combinations when it comes to the search. Another important type of search is the full text search. And this is thanks to the OCR. So as we said, the OCR will convert your image into text. And now that this text is available, you can actually search for that text. So instead of just searching by the ID, the number, the date, and all these metadata, you can search in the content as well. So let's say I'm searching for a certain topic, in this case, organization behavior. It will take me to all the books and articles and references and everything where I have organization or behavior or both. It's not built in, but we do integrate with other software that does it. Yes. So, okay. So, and this search is very flexible. So let's say if you're searching for the name of a person, the name of an author, the name of a student, it's flexible because it doesn't only search for the exact word. It searches for everything that looks like it or is similar to it. Okay? So let's say I search for organizational behavior. It will also find it for me. Okay? This is very important because, as we said, sometimes you don't know what the type of the document is. You don't know how it's indexed. You don't know who indexed it or how they did it. What you know is a topic or a word or a phrase, and you can search for it and find it. Yeah. Excuse me? No, not yet. Okay. So far, what we did is digitize documents and organize them. These 2 steps is what we call enterprise content management. Okay, this is the first part of the digital transformation. It's all about documents, paper, how you can digitize them and manage them and make them, of course, accessible. Now we move on to the second part of this process, which is the automation part, or what we call the business process management. Okay, and it starts with automation, which is phase 3. In this photograph, you see tons of students waiting in line to submit an application, to ask for something, submit a certain request, ask for some documents. So what this means is that they have to be physically present on campus, which might not be an option for everyone. And at the same time, they have to deal with paper. They have to grab an admission application booklet. They have to fill it out manually and then submit it with all the documents that they have. On the other side, there's an admissions officer who receives, I guess, thousands of applications, especially at the beginning of the semesters, and they have to manually go through all of these applications to sort them out, filter them, maybe exclude some of them, send them for the concerned departments for approvals and for the whole decision-making process. Again, they have to deal with a lot of paper, and it's a hassle to do that. So this is what we call a paper-based process. Again, the problem is with accessibility, with readability, and with the need for physical presence to do all of this. What we do in this case, okay, so some people would suggest, why don't we just scan those admission documents and apply assistive technologies, make it available on the web, and all of this. However, this might solve the issue for the admissions officer, but it will not solve the issue for the students. So this is why we convert those paper forms into electronic forms. Now, just a remark, this is not the AUB application. This is something we created for this presentation, and we only added the logo to show you that the forms can be 100% customizable. So they can be blended completely with your website, with your with a student portal, student information system, or any other portal that you have. So again, the same thing that you see on the paper, we convert it into an electronic form. Again, you can integrate it with assistive technologies to make it accessible. So filling out the form becomes much easier than doing it on paper. And most importantly, this can be done anywhere, anytime, from a laptop, from a tablet, from a mobile phone. And yeah, this is basically it when it comes to the submission part for the students, or this also applies to forms submitted by employees, by people applying for a job, any type of request, basically. Now, for the students or anyone that submits a request, after they submit, they are also given the possibility to track the request. So, of course, if you want them to be able to track it. So they can know where their request is, at what stage is it waiting, how much time is it taking. They can be given a number for to refer to it later on and to ask about their application. Now, for the receiving side, the side that is receiving that application, for example, the admissions office, is going to receive or view a list of these requests that are pending in their inbox. So they know all the applications that were submitted. They can see they were submitted by whom, at what date, what type of request is it, if there is a certain due date. So, for example, you would say that your admissions office should not take more than, I don't know, I'm making it up, maybe 1 week to review this application and then provide their feedback. So if they're late on their deadline, you can send them reminders, email notifications to remind them about their tasks. And it becomes, again, much easier to see all of these requests and the pending tasks and tackling them each one easily. So by now, we, again, managed our documents and we managed our processes. And we might think this is it, we've done everything. However, it doesn't stop here. This is where we start with the streamlining phase of the digital transformation process. We'll see what this means. Because sometimes, even if you automate your process and you make it accessible and available, you need to track how it's working. How is it performing? Is it taking time? Is it getting stuck somewhere? Are there delays? Where's the delay coming from? This is why you should be able to find bottlenecks in your process. And given that everything is traceable, as we said, all the steps are tracked and logged, you are able to generate reports on your process. How is it working? Is this process taking time? The admissions office is taking too much time than needed. So you can find the bottlenecks in your process. And the second thing, the second part of it is that sometimes you automate a process in different departments. But then, across departments, things become disconnected. And we see a lot of examples, especially in higher education and in education, where a single process is usually involved with different departments. Let's say I'm a student, I need to submit a petition. The registrar is involved, my advisor is involved, my faculty is involved, maybe other people are involved as well. So instead of automating this process one place and then disconnecting it, you can create one process that can actually be engaging several entities at the same time. Now finally we get to the, in my opinion, the most interesting part, which is the phase 5 of the digital transformation process, which is called transform. Okay, so we made everything automatic, we have managed our documents, and we have streamlined our processes, but and now they're fully functional and everyone is using them. Because we have all of this data that's being generated on a daily basis, then why not use it to think of ways to improve the performance even more? So let's take examples. Let's say we implemented this process and it involves, let's say, 10 or 15 steps from start to finish. You need to know what's happening. How much time is it taking? Who's taking the most time to complete it? Why do we have bottlenecks? What's going on? You need to know what's happening, and you need to measure the performance of your process because you might even improve it further. This is what we call descriptive analytics. So basically what you get is a reports about the performance of your processes, and so just so you know what is happening. And then you would like to know definitely why is this happening. So you also need this information to be able to know where does the problem come from, where's the source of the bottleneck, where's the source of the delay. This is what we call the diagnostic analytics. Next is even much more interesting, which is predictive analytics. So let's say I'm expecting in the next fall to receive a certain number of applications. I need to predict how much time is it going to take me to process all of these applications. So what you can do is perform what-if scenarios. So you can plug in these values, change the parameters, let's say I'm expecting, I don't know, maybe 10,000 applications. What's going to happen? How much resources will I need? How many resources will I need to do it? How much time will I need? Let's say I add one more admission officer. Is it going to help with the time? So I can do all of these changes in my parameters to know what's going to happen, which is, again, what we call predictive analytics. And then finally, prescriptive analytics. Basically, what prescriptive analytics does is that it can give you recommendations on how to deal with a certain request that you receive. I'll give you an example. Let's say we're recruiting. We're going to move away a bit from the admissions example. Let's say we're recruiting someone with an accounting background who has 3 years of experience for the controller's office. Okay, so I have this very well set criteria, which is basically the experience and the degree or the type of education that they have. So you can have the system automatically filter out the applications that don't fit that criteria. So instead of receiving 1,000, you could receive much less. It narrows down the number of requests that you receive, and it automatically tells you that this is to be considered and this is not to be considered. This is just an example of how prescriptive analytics can actually predict for you, or not predict, basically recommend for you. Okay, so by now we have completed the full digital transformation process. We have, as you can see, as you have seen, moved from a fully paper-based environment into a completely paperless environment. And how we do this? Well, basically, as BMB, we help our customers go through this journey using Laserfish. And we'll tell you more about it. And so basically, as Laserfish, as BMB, we are exclusive distributors of Laserfish in the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe region. And basically, we have more than 23 years of experience in the digital transformation field. So we've been working with Laserfish since 1996. And we have a team of certified engineers and experts who will help in sales, pre-sales, consultancy, technical support, implementation, and training. And our team are all gold certified with Laserfish on all products in the Laserfish family. And we operate directly in Lebanon. However, we also have a network of more than 30 value-added resellers in the region in countries like KSA, UAE, Kuwait, Italy, Greece, and other countries. Laserfish as a solution itself, it's basically a digital transformation solution. It is developed by a company called CompuLink. It's based in Long Beach, California, since 1987. Laserfish is a leader in the local and state government, mostly in the US, more than here. And however, it also has a very strong presence in banking and finance, in education, of course, in law enforcement, healthcare, and other sectors. Laserfish has several international standards and certifications. The most important one for us today is the Americans with Disabilities Act and compliance. And they also follow the WCAG guidelines for the web content as well. Laserfish also has the Department of Defense in the US certification, the DoD 501.5.2, which is mostly related to security and records management, and others like HIPAA for healthcare and other certifications. And so far, Laserfish has more than 38,000 installations worldwide. As our own customers, Laserfish customers, mainly in education in Lebanon, okay, so we're taking the country here. And in education, we have, of course, AUB, we have LEU, USG, UZEC, NDU, IUL, Balamand, I don't know if I forgot, EZA, SAGES, I can name. So we work with the top universities in the country and also with international college when it comes to schools. Our customers mainly, they are very diversified. We work with different sectors, with the banking, insurance, retail, pharmaceuticals, and many. So we have more than 700 in the region, and in Lebanon we have more than 200. I can name a few like the Central Bank, the Beirut Stock Exchange, Touch, Mitzelith, the AUB Medical Center, LEU Medical Center, and many others. BankMed. Okay, great. We love them. Now, maybe by now you are curious to know where you stand when it comes to the digital transformation. You would like to know where you can start if you haven't done anything yet. And you might want to know if you could be ready to make those documents and your processes and content accessible to create an inclusive environment in your institution. So to do this, we highly advise you to go to a website, transform.laserfish.com. Laserfish with a C-H-E. So basically, this website was created by Laserfish to help customers assess themselves, to know where they can start on this journey. So basically, it's a test. It's a set of questions with it's a multiple choice kind of test. They ask you about how you're handling your documents, your processes, if you have started with the digitize part, the automation part, all of these questions to basically assess what's the state of your organization right now and give you recommendations on which phase you actually fit in currently, so you know how to move on. Okay, now we will move to a live demo. Can you see? Okay. Okay, just give us a few seconds. Yes. Yes, I know. Recently, we started not recently, basically, more than a year ago, we started a process to actually make it more on the enterprise level. Yes, yes. Of course. Of course, yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. As you have seen, for example, if you look at our customers, they work in very different industries. You see banks and you see higher education at the same time, and they work completely differently. This can give you an idea of how flexible it is as a software, and it's basically it's very flexible. It's very customizable. You can tailor it the way you need it. So if you manage your documents in a certain way, we'll show you now an example. بس إذا فيك to expand the folder structure, you can create any folder structure you want. You can customize your forms, your processes, how they work. It's basically a set of tools that you can use to create any solution that you want. Okay, it's fully customizable. So what we are seeing here is the web interface, and you can see to the left, for example, let me use the pointer. So you can see over here a set of folders, a folder structure that we've created only for the purpose of this demo. Again, you can create any folder structure that you need. You might organize your documents by department, by units, by type of the document, anything. Let's say in this case we are seeing the student files under the registrar's office, and I have these files, مثلا, let's say my own files. You have a document, let's say the undergraduate application of the student. It is very well, we have a very fixed naming convention. You can set it up so that your documents are structured and they're all named in a certain standard way. Let's open so we'll open one of the documents. Okay, this is what you see by default, which is the thumbnails, the image, the first page. This is the text where the OCR will store the text for you to make it available. To scan the documents. Okay, so we do both. We do both. So we do provide the service of scanning documents. So we've taken several projects. We have teams who would work for a certain period of time with all the equipment, and they would scan and index all the documents for the client and deliver them ready for use. Or some customers prefer to do it themselves. So we give them sort of a training on how we do it, because we work in a very structured way, in a chain, when we do this scanning and indexing process. Okay. Metadata. No. It's yes, and okay. I don't know if we showed it, but before we open this, you have a username and password. So every single person has a username and password with privileges, with security rights and everything. So yes, it's not available online. Okay. Now, for the purpose of this demo, because we do not currently work with any assistive technologies, we've used something that's available online to show you that it's doable. So we've implemented, this plugin that has all of these tools to change your display in any way you need. So if you can start with the contrast, for example, it will automatically change the display. You can increase the font size as much as you need. Desaturate, legible fonts, anything basically. What's most interesting, I would assume, is the read page. The screen reader, I will try to see the
screen reader enabled.
Okay.
Different values assigned. Change of major. Screen reader enabled. Use the arrow keys to select items to read. Page text, page 1, American University of Beirut. Student application form. Academic year 2012-2013. Field of study. Engineering.
Yeah, so basically we were able to integrate those plugins with the Laserfish interface so that the content of the document is accessible. And just to note something, without the OCR this is not possible, especially the screen reader. Okay. Okay, this is basically when it comes to the viewing documents, and so we can see the metadata, the fields. Okay, so this is the metadata that we've talked about earlier associated with this document. So again, they're all available in an online form, they're accessible, and all of this can be used for searching purposes, as we said. You can also search in the content of the document. American. This is basically the full text search. So you can search in the content of the document. Okay, so this is how it finds the words available in the document. Okay. Okay, we've seen the document viewing part. Now we'll show you quickly the business process automation. So as we've told you, we've created an example of a web form for applications, for student application. And as you've seen, we have converted a paper form into an electronic form, and we've customized it a little bit to show you the ability to customize. And basically, the form can be fully customizable to an extent that it blends entirely with your website. The user does not even know they're dealing with Laserfish. They think it's just a website form. So we've created a set of fields. We're going to fill them out quickly. Semester, choices of major. Okay. So you can set, as we said, you use all of these lists, so the user can select from the list. It could be. We're connecting لأنه to the server. It's okay. خلاص leave it. ما مشكلة. Okay. Let's see the accessibility part. So again, everything we've seen earlier can be applied on this on the form submission page, from the contrast, the text. Again, as well, the read page function. All of this can be applied once you have your content and your document available in this version or this format. They will be totally accessible. Okay. You want to submit or share? Okay, it's fine. Okay, خلاص leave it ما بأثر.
No, we could.
It could be بس ما في data.
There is no classes for this semester. Yeah.
No مشكلة. Okay. Fine. Okay. So yes, basically we've covered everything. Please let us know if you have any questions on what we've talked about. For us, it's خلاص go back to the PowerPoint. That's it. Yeah. We work with very different sizes. We have customers who have hundreds and hundreds of users, and we have customers who have a couple of users or 5 users or 10 users. And this is something very, very flexible with Laserfish, because what it does is basically it licenses the software based on how many persons you have using it. So you can benefit from this exact same features and functionalities that, let's say, a huge bank has 1,000 users. You can benefit from you can have the exact same features for a couple of users, which is, yeah. Okay, any questions more? Okay, thank you. We hope you find it interesting.